Do you know exactly how much one is increasing their energy expenditure when they do resistance exercise to a high level of effort? What one can expect? I mean, I read before it was sort of 7 to 11% or something like that, and I believe that's evidence based. But have you got any view on that at all?
Yeah, it's less than 10%. I mean,
Okay.
typically if you do an hour of high intensity resistance training for average size person, it's going to be, 300 or 400 calories. And that's going to be less, like you said, 5 to 8% ish of
Mhm.
your total. So yeah, it's not as huge as cardio in terms of just energy expenditure, but it more than pays for itself based on the accrual of lean mass and the elevation of your basal metabolic rate the other 23 hours a day. So it's a little hard to quantify because
Mhm.
it's better than it looks like on paper if you're just doing calorie math. But yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. That's roughly accurate.
So you think cardio is more effective from that perspective in terms of the energy expenditure side of it, not the other variables?
Absolutely. Yes. You can just crank up your total daily energy expenditure a lot higher with just cardio. And honestly,
Mhm.
that is why I do like cardio. I mean, I like resistance training more. If I had to just pick one, I would do resistance training, but I'd probably do it with shorter rest time so I could get a cardio effect as well and
Yep.
cheat that way. But like honestly, I do think you theoretically want to be doing some of both because it's easier to scale up the calorie burn with cardio. And it kind of depends on what someone's overall activity level is. If you're already walking 20,000 steps a day because you're a server, you don't really have to add any cardio to that. You just need to do your strength training. But for someone who basically just sits all day long, please do some kind of cardio, even if it's just like incline walking or something, because you're not going to burn quite as many calories as you want from just resistance training.
Now, just to touch on this briefly, do you think there's any magic to any particular zone, like heart rate zone, or do you think it's just a quantity intensity thing where, if it's really low intensity, it's just you got to get more volume of cardio. But if it's really high intensity, like high intensity interval training, then you get a brief amount. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever fits your lifestyle. Or do you think, no, actually you should try and do this much? You've got some people talking about the importance of zone 2 versus zone 4 and zone 5 and this kind of thing. How do you think about that?
I think it's completely identical to rep range for strength training. So,
Got it.
we know you can get hypertrophy from like 5 reps all the way up to 30 reps. And as long as you just take it to failure, you're going to get these benefits, right? But then we also know, okay, you get slightly different flavor to these benefits. You're a little more strength on the low side and a little more sarcoplasmic hypertrophy on the high side, metabolic stress, and you're getting like higher tension low and higher metabolic stress high. And you actually want to play that whole rep range when it comes to resistance training, right? So you can get a little bit of the benefit. You don't want to do some low reps, some high reps, and kind of everything in between. Cardio is definitely the same way. You can always trade intensity for duration. So like you can do an hour of just walking or 15 minutes of running or a half an hour of a light jog, and you kind of get very similar benefits, similar calorie burn, similar benefits throughout that range. But you definitely want to do some of all of the rep range. You really want to do some very high intensity stuff because that's going to push your VO2 max up higher. But you also want to do some zone 2 because you get this really good mitochondrial fat burn effect going on. And so I honestly like people to play with the whole rep range, just like strength training.